So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed in the following program are those of the host, guests, and/or callers, and not those of Relmar McConnell Media Company, our corporate divisions or entities, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, Simul TV, our staff, management, advertisers, broadcast affiliates, and affiliated broadcast networks.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Heart to Heart Show with Dan and Ann, my wife Ann. And we're coming to you on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. And Angela, if you would tonight, if you'd introduce our special guest, we're so glad she's with us, and she's been through heck on earth. But if you it'd be wonderful.
You bet. Well, we have a wonderful program for you guys tonight. The name of the show tonight is One Wild Ride, about abuse and recovery among Jehovah's Witnesses and other cult survivors. We'll be interviewing our guest, Sharon Tyson. Sharon is an ex-JW cult survivor, the mother of 4 children, and has served for the past 10 years as an anti-cult activist, working with many such groups around the world, including in the U.S., Nigeria, Italy, Africa, Brazil, New Zealand, Australia, the Philippines. She's also been a volunteer in various grassroots projects aimed at helping ex-JW children and adults to recover, and has developed a series of programs for ex-JW children to help them heal. For more information about this program series, we'll give it to you again later, but it's www.exjw-help.com. Sharon is also a sex abuse survivor. She's been shunned, had to go into hiding for survival with her children, then dealing with PTSD along with several of her children, which led to several suicide attempts, and has other family members who have succeeded in taking their own lives. Beyond these challenges, Sharon and her children are beginning to rise above it all and stand taller. She now translates the leading newsworthy stories for ex-JWs throughout the world, and is currently working on turning her charity into a nonprofit. Welcome, Sharon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Did I get it all right there, Sharon?
Pretty much, with one exception. My website is xjw-help, not EX.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
But that's common. A lot of activists choose either EXJW or XJW for their sites and that type of thing. So it's understandable.
Gotcha. All right, we'll get it right from now on.
Yeah. Well, Sharon, when I heard this, ex-cult activist, ex-JW cult survivor, JW children and adults helping them to recover, hiding for, survival, suicide attempts, a sex abuse survivor. Are you talking about the same people that come to your door in the little suits with the Watchtower and Awake?
Yeah, as shocking as that seems, that's true. That was a large part of my life for 33 years. I was born into it, and so I really didn't have an option, Yeah. Some people that join and decide to leave later, they kind of beat themselves up over the fact that how could I have gotten involved in something that I thought was, the only truth or involved in, the only true religion. And, come to find out they were wrong. And, but, anyone that's listening that feels that way, rest assured you shouldn't beat yourself up. It's very coercive.
Yeah, it is.
Seems like there's a big difference between, what goes on at the door and what goes on inside there. And would you feel free to tell us your particular situation? Because what I'm finding, since, I was a witness too for 40 years and I left. And when I was in there, nobody talked about nothing. I mean, you didn't speak to the elders about anything bad. We were always afraid to bring reproach on God, Jehovah. And, we couldn't tell anybody. It was a secret. And now they have some 2-person rule. I don't even know what it means. Maybe you could touch on it. But can you tell us a little bit about what happened to you in there, how you became a survivor and all this stuff, the reason you're doing everything you're doing? It had to be something traumatic for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did involve a lot, so I'll try to summarize it as best as I can. Basically, I grew up in a small town of about 300 people, and I wasn't supposed to associate with anyone that was not a Jehovah's Witness outside of just your average day of going to school. There was no after school visiting friends or anything like that. I grew up very isolated.
Yeah.
And so, thank goodness I had a couple of relatives, 2 families in town that were Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I did have, my cousins to play with sometimes. But my mom actually broke the rule and let me have one worldly friend. That's what she said.
Oh, jeez.
And and she became my everything,
What's a worldly friend? What's that?
Someone that's not a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, okay.
Could be, anyone in this world that's not a Jehovah's Witness. Yeah.
No Christians or anybody?
No, absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, she was raised Catholic. Not that that matters, but yeah.
Meaning your mother or the friend? Your friend?
My friend. Yeah. My friend. Yeah. So, just as an example of how extreme their belief system is, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, my cousin, she called me, and she was only 7, maybe. She called me and she said, Sharon, I can't play at your house anymore. You can't come over to our house and play. And I said, why? And she said, well, because you have a worldly friend. And so, I didn't want to lose my relatives. So, so at an early age, I learned to follow the governing body's rules. And the governing body is the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses out of New York. So, yeah, I was afraid of losing my relatives. So, I wrote my friend a letter, and I told her I couldn't be her, or no, actually I called her and I said, I can't be your friend anymore. She said, why? And I said, well, because you're worldly. She wrote me a nasty letter, and, well, we ended up, my gut instinct and just natural selection, I couldn't leave my one friend. So somehow I managed to juggle it and maintain my, some friendship with my relatives and still kept my friend, but it was always a big stressor for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then I lost my brother in a tragic accident when I was 11, and that's when my parents really started going to the meetings at their church, which is the Kingdom Hall. And so when I really found out, what their beliefs were, and about the age of 11, I was like, well, I want to see my brother in paradise again. I thought I'd never see him again unless I was a faithful Jehovah's Witness. And so, my goal was I wanted to be a missionary. I've always loved doing good and helping people. And so I made up my mind at the age of 12, I think, that I was going to be a missionary for Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I studied the Bible a lot with my grandmother, who she was the first one in our family to become a Jehovah's Witness during World War II. And so then by the age of 16, a Spanish elder and his wife were studying with me. Mm-hmm. And they were teaching me Spanish, how to read Spanish in the Bible. As an example, toda la escritura es inspirada por Dios,
Wow.
And
it's one good thing that came out of it.
I don't know what you said, but hey.
That all scripture is inspired of God. And so one day, and I was homeschooling at this point, all of my friends at the Kingdom Hall had been disfellowshipped or disassociated. The youth, they were just wiping them out one by one. If they made a mistake, they were out. So, I had nobody to hang around with, at the Kingdom Hall. My parents were gone all the time. I homeschooled. I was very isolated. I'd never dated. I didn't watch much television. And so one day I was home alone and the phone rang and I answered it. The elder's wife had given her 30-year-old son my phone number. And he had previously, 2 years prior to that, had been disfellowshipped or excommunicated for smoking a cigarette. His marriage failed as a result of his being disfellowshipped. He turned to drinking alcohol, became homeless, and had nowhere to go, tried committing suicide, and ended up moving in with his father and mother, who were, he was an elder. So anyways, he asked me to take Bible notes for him at our next assembly, which was that weekend. And I then that following Monday, he called me to make arrangements to.
All right, hold that thought there,
okay.
Sharon. We're going to have to take a commercial break, but
okay.
Sharon Tyson will be back with us coming up right after the commercial break.
You're listening to Heart Radio Show with Dan and Ann, and again, our guest this hour is Sharon Tyson. Her website is jw-help.com. That's jwhelp.com. For more information about Heart to Heart Radio Show, visit hearttoheartradioshow.com or check out our website, prodigaljourneys.com. Again, we'll be right back after the commercial break. You're listening to Heart Radio on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed in the following program are those of the host, guests, and/or callers, and not those of Relmar McConnell Media Company, our corporate divisions or entities, the X Zone Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, Simul TV, our staff, management, advertisers, broadcast affiliates, and affiliated broadcast networks.
All right, we're back. Tonight our guest is Sharon Tyson, and her website is www.exjw.
No, that's XJW.
X
JW-help.com.
.com. And our topic tonight is called One Wild Ride, which is about abuse and recovery among Jehovah's Witnesses and other cults. All right, Sharon, if you just want to pick up where you left off, where you were talking about how you came into this organization and up to the point of abuse.
Okay, thank you. So let me try to remember where I was. So he made arrangements, this 30-year-old man made arrangements to meet me at a local restaurant and to obtain the Bible notes that I had taken over the weekend. And I thought I was helping my Bible teacher to bring her son back to the flock. And thus I was acting as this missionary that I wanted to be. Anyway, so I met him. He asked me, would you like to take a walk at the park and talk about this? And I agreed, thinking it was another opportunity to witness to him. Instead of taking me to the city park, he took me to an isolated park, and that was the beginning of statutory rape. And it was the elders of our church found out about it through his sister, through this man's sister, and they never called the police or reported it. And that is very common among Jehovah's Witnesses, and as you mentioned earlier, the two-witness rule. So basically, the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses have taken a scripture from the Bible, I believe it's from the Old Testament, that says that if there has to be 2 or 3 eyewitnesses to, an accusation against any brother or sister, and if there isn't, then they feel that they don't have any judicial case, or anything against this person. And they certainly don't notify the authorities.
What's strange? What's strange
Yeah.
to me is, they have zero toleration, for wrongdoing within there. It's like you can do the littlest thing and there's zero toleration. I mean, you're on reproof, you're disfellowshipped. But when it comes to the authorities, I mean, they hide. There's no, what you're saying.
Absolutely, and the perfect example is what I'm saying, where this man was disfellowshipped for smoking cigarettes, but then when he committed statutory rape, it was ignored.
Yeah, there's this other story we heard on one of the last few shows about a boy who wanted to defend his sister who had been raped by somebody in there. It might have been a family member, I forgot now, but he absolutely, yeah, it was an elder, and he was told, no, you are not to say anything to anyone. Well, he disobeyed, and he did anyway, insisted, and he told an elder. Well, the next thing you know, his parents were forced to kick him out of the house, out on the street. He was this young kid, ended up going into being picked up by drug users, ended up a drug addict, an alcoholic, he was, sexually abused, and what a mess, and ended up, just in a very mess of a life because this little young boy who had no life after that. It's crazy that, and he tried to go home and say, please feed me, I'm hungry. And they said no, and they slammed the door, and he just went down. It was awful. And I just can't believe that they would do such a thing.
So Sharon,
well, the thing, I've been an activist now for 10 plus years in this grassroots project. And what amazes me is the fact that now that there's, it's gone public, it's all over in the news, all over the world. And, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is now, having to stand trial for and answer up for what they're doing, but they're using their attorneys in the law to try and protect themselves, but they are losing millions of dollars as a result. And kingdom halls are being closed. Large convention centers are being sold off. I mean, they're really hurting, and we couldn't rejoice any more than for all the hard work we've all put in for years. And, I've only been in it 10 years. I know activists that, have been doing this for 20 years.
Wow.
So
what happened to you after all this? What happened after all this happened?
Well, I ended up, that man kept sneaking around to see me, and, he was the first person I was ever with, and I thought I was in love. And so my mother and his mother pressured me into marrying him, and it was either leave him alone, you guys leave each other alone, or get married. Well, I thought that's what love was, and so I got married as soon as I turned 18, and I was married to him for 16 years, and I had 4 children. I was pregnant and nursing for 10 years straight, nonstop.
Oh,
Man.
ouch.
Yeah. But I eventually, he became super controlling, super manipulative, and very abusive. And it just got to the point I couldn't take it anymore. And I ended up kissing a man at work, and I confessed, and I was told by the elders, I was interrogated for 4 hours in front of 3 elders and my husband, and they asked very deep, yes, and I was asked very detailed information. It was very embarrassing and humiliating, and my husband had started stalking me at work and stuff, and anyways, they basically said that I needed to stay with him in order to make Jehovah happy. Well, I opted to do what was best because he had become homicidal and suicidal. So I went into hiding. I told them, you're going to have to make a decision. So they excommunicated me, and my children and I went into hiding in the local domestic violence program.
Man, oh man, Sharon.
How old were you again? You were 16?
Well, no, I had my 4 children,
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, I was 33 years old when I ended up raising my children on my own. They were 7, 9, 11, and 13.
Man, do you
Wow.
ever worry, Sharon, about telling this, worrying that you might be in danger for telling these kind of stories to people? Like you might get backlash from maybe killed. Do you ever worry about anything like that?
Uh, Not killed. Maybe years ago, from my husband, but over the years, he's much older now. He's like 60, I think, 60 something. So, he's, kind of mellowed out as he's gotten older, and he leaves me alone. But,
So where's your head at now? Are you an atheist? I after something like that, you'd wonder, do you still believe in the Bible, or how do you feel about God? Or where's your head at now?
I would say I'm somewhat agnostic, I guess, slash pantheistic. My grandmother was Native American, and I never got to meet her, but my mom said that we were so much alike. And I'm just naturally drawn to nature, and that's where I find a lot of my peace and my healing. And after I left the Witnesses, the first 2 years, I didn't pray. I didn't know what to call God, because they said God was Jehovah, and other Christians, when I left, other Christians were like, no, well, yeah, that's just one name for him, but God is Jesus. So
Yeah.
I was so confused. But eventually, after 2 years, there were several times where my back was up against a wall, so to speak, and I didn't know what to do, who to turn to for help. My family wouldn't talk to me. I had no friends, total shunning. And so one day I was like, man, all I can do is pray. So I prayed, and I addressed God in general, and I just said, hey, God, I need your help. If you're real, would you answer me and help me, And I have to admit that I have experienced several miracles. Like, there's no way that it was a coincidence. But at the same time, when I left the Witnesses, I began to notice that I had this feeling in my hands, like a drawing sensation, a magnet. And especially if I'm in the medical field. So if I was around somebody that was sick or depressed or something, I would get this strange feeling in my hands. And eventually I found out that we all have the ability to heal. And so,
Wow.
yeah, do you have any
Could you
questions?
hold that? I want to pick that right up after the break here, Sharon. Angela, we have to take a break.
Yes, we do. You're listening to Heart Radio Show with Dan and Ann. And again, if you'd like to learn more about our guest, Sharon Tyson, her website is www.xjw-help.com. That's an X, jw-help.com. For more information about Heart Radio Show, visit www.heartradioshow.com or check out our website, prodigaljourneys.com. Again, we'll be right back after the commercial break. And thanks for joining us.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, The 70-Year Cover-Up Exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed in the following program are those of the host, guests, and/or callers, and not those of Relmar McConnell Media Company, our corporate divisions or entities, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, Simul TV, our staff, management, advertisers, broadcast affiliates, and affiliated broadcast networks.
All right. We're back. We've been talking with our guest tonight, Sharon Tyson, and her website is www.xjw-help.com. And our show tonight is called One Wild Ride, and we've been talking about abuse and recovery among Jehovah's Witnesses and other cult survivors. And Sharon, we left off with, your grandmother, Native American. You recognized that it sounds like you had some spiritual gifts that were passed down to you. And I was wondering if you could just share some of those, if you had any miracles or healing or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I wanted to mention is that I believe that I first started experiencing these gifts when I was still a Jehovah's Witness. Actually, I was about 14, and I was at a meeting, one of the church meetings, and this young man went up on stage to give his first talk, his first speech, and I could feel his nervousness as he went up there, and I thought to myself, I bet if I focus my attention on him long enough that I could draw his negative, now I call it negative energy, but back then, I didn't know what to call it. I just thought I could draw his nervousness out of himself and into me and help him. And so I stared this young man down, and I literally got so nervous I had to get up out of my seat and go back to the back room. Anyways, so yeah, but I didn't know how to get rid of negative energy, at the time. I didn't realize what had happened. So then, after I left the Witnesses, I do home health care, and I was telling one of my clients, she was familiar with healing, and I was describing to her how my hands feel sometimes, and she said, "Honey, you might be a healer." Well, I was so afraid of her. I thought she was like demon possessed or something, and I was going to drop her as a client. And I'm glad I didn't. A few days later, I was sitting there, and I could sense that she had this terrible pain in her left arm. And I told her, I said, "Does your arm hurt?" Anyway, she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Where at?" And she pointed exactly where I thought it was at. here she had fallen the day before, and she didn't want to tell me because she was afraid they would send her out for, to the ER.
Is there a name for that? Is that like Reiki or anything, or is that just?
I mean, that is one form of healing, Reiki. Yeah.
And you know what? The Christians probably would call it the gift of knowledge. Other people would call it intuition. Do you know somehow?
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. It's like exactly exactly my point. I went on to, eventually I started going to this church. It was supposed to be non-denominational, and it ended up being like a Pentecostal-based church. They did healing there, some, but not that much. I couldn't, when somebody needed healing, I could not sit in my seat. Like, I had to go up and I had to touch them. I had to lay my hands on them. Sometimes I would even I think it happened twice where I'd shake, and sweat profusely. And, it wasn't like adrenaline or anything. It wasn't that, I can't even explain it. I don't know. I haven't read, a lot about it. All I know is what I feel and what happens. I trust my intuition. And but anyway, I quit going to that church, and I just kind of did my own thing at home. And I still had that feeling I could still heal people. And so then I was like, man, this just doesn't make sense. Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in healing. They think you're demon-possessed if you say you can. Some churches believe in it, some don't. You've got people from India that worship multiple gods, and they practice, different types of healing and Reiki and stuff. And I was like, what is the one common denominator with all of this? Because obviously it's not a religion or all these multiple gods, it's, so I thought to myself, the common denominator is energy. Mm-hmm. Our bodies are made up of energy. Our heart, runs from electrical impulses. Our brain has synapses in it, and neurons are, just, so that was my answer to why I was able to do that, why it feels like a magnet in my hands, a hot magnet.
Sharon,
people can...
Go ahead.
Yeah, people can feel it from, if I hold my hands up when they're feeling like that, people can feel it like a couple of feet away.
Wow. Greg Braden, I really like Greg Braden. He's a scientist, wouldn't you say, Dan, and a researcher. And he did an experiment that was filmed where they could see a monitor on the screen, and they had this lady where you could see her tumor. And so they had these people that were all different religions. They all didn't believe the same, but they all did their way of sending a certain love energy to her tumor. And they watched it literally. They just kept saying this word that they all, I think they all agreed on a word, I think they all agreed on a word, and they said it. And pretty soon they started saying faster, faster, faster. And then, because they were watching it literally on the screen, shrinking before their very eyes. And then sure enough, it was gone and she was healed. And so what was cool about it, he was always into using many different multiple religions of people. And then he did another experiment around really, really severely polluted water that was very dangerous. Had a whole bunch of people get around it, all holding hands. And literally that water went from horrible, dangerous, can't drink it, to absolutely perfect water. And, under the microscope, you could see the beautiful crystals that came from it now, whereas before they were ugly and horrible, distorted looking.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't Greg Braden, but he told that story, didn't he? But yeah, what's that? Ajimoto, or I forgot the guy's name that studied crystals. So lots of people have done these experiments with different religions. And so it's not just Christians. And, I find it interesting that Christians don't want to believe that healings are for today. They think it was during the Bible times only, to bring glory to the fact that Jesus came and died. And I'm like, no way. I have seen so many, including my own husband, not Dan, this one, as far as the miracle is concerned, but I've seen a guy healed of blindness. My husband and his leg, I saw it grow out, and then he could walk perfectly straight, whereas before he was numb from the waist down, and then he walked perfectly straight for the first time in his life because he was born with one leg shorter than the other. And I've seen so many miracles, and yet these people don't believe, and I don't understand it. Do you?
Mhm.
Weird.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, religion was developed to control the masses, and if we limit ourselves to what someone else says that we're capable of, then that's all we're going to be capable of. And if I sincerely believe, and I know a lot of other people do, if we project our positive thoughts, let the love grow in our hearts for ourselves, for other people, and just let that love grow in abundance and let the energy flow from us, we're all capable of healing others. I'm not trying to say I heal cancer and I heal this and I heal that, but I have seen it work miracles. A good friend of mine, as a matter of fact, who is a Native American flutist, he's a master in Reiki. He did some healings on me, and I ended up being medicine-free. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and after several healings that he did, and a certain type of meditation that he developed, I've been medicine-free for 3 years now.
Whoa.
Wow.
Most people deal with that their whole life.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I still have some anxiety, I won't lie, but it's not off the charts. I'm not, wanting to sleep my life away. I'm not shutting myself in my house. I'm actually back to work. So, it did me a lot of good.
Wow, that's so cool. I also had PTSD, Sharon, and they put me on DSF. And anyway, I just decided, I'm never really going to get to the bottom of this if I start relying on all this stuff. And I just said, after about a year, I'm like, nope, no more. And I just had to deal with it. And there were a lot of tricks that I had learned. And boy, they sure helped me. So I also rarely have the PTSD come upon me. But when it does, it feels like anxiety really, really bad. Kind of foggy brain. My lower back will hurt. And then that'll eventually make my ovary hurt. And so I know. And I have to calm down, relax, breathe. But there are ways to overcome it. Thank God. You know?
Yeah.
Wow. Especially this Indian guy.
Yeah, that's so neat. I love it. Hey, Dan, look at the time already. Man, you believe it? Tell you what.
All right, guys. Well, looks like we're going to have to take a commercial break. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with our guest, Sharon Tyson. And we're so enjoying this, Sharon.
Yes, we are. So, guys, you're listening to Heart2TWO Heart Radio Show with Dan and Ann. If you'd like to contact Sharon, you can go to her website, which is xjw-help.com. For more information about Heart2 Heart Radio Show, visit Heart2Heart Radio Show or check out our personal website, which is prodigaljourneys.com. You're listening to Heart2Heart Radio Show on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. All right. We'll be back.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not.
You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
The views, opinions, and conclusions expressed in the following program are those of the host, guests, and/or callers, and not those of Relmar McConnell Media Company, our corporate divisions or entities, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Simul Radio, Simul TV, our staff, management, advertisers, broadcast affiliates, and affiliated broadcast networks.
All right, we're back. You're listening to Heart Radio Show with Dan and Ann, and our guest this hour is Sharon Tyson, and her website is, for more information, is www.xjw-help.com. And our show is called One Wild Ride, and it's about abuse recovery among Jehovah's Witnesses and other cult survivors. And we were just finishing up with some of the spiritual things that Sharon did in her life after she got out of the Witnesses, and she actually realized another dimension of spirituality of God in her. And Sharon, I just want to say this, a lot of people, and we don't have to go long on it, but a lot of people, after they've come out of the Witnesses, they don't seem to recover. And I just wonder if you have any advice before we get into all the things you're doing. What would be some advice you would give to somebody who's coming out and they just can't get this stuff out of their head?
Well, the first thing that I would like to recommend is that they seek a really good counselor. And it's especially important for your children. If you've left and your children if you're seeing signs of depression and anxiety in them, or if they're isolating themselves, becoming more introverted, it's very, very important that you get a good counselor. Now, okay. A lot of people that are on, say, government assistance, they will qualify for counseling. Now, you can go to like a children's center, but what I've seen is you need a good psychotherapist. If you can find one that's a forensic psychologist, they are especially important to help with cognitive behavioral therapy. So I would say that's the first step in recovery. Then the next thing you can do is, at least for adults, some NAMI organizations. It's an international organization. It stands for National Alliance for Mental Illness. Almost every major city has a support group nearly every week or every other week that you can attend. And actually can become like family to you. And it's someone that you always have to talk to. And it really helps you to deal with it, if you develop post-traumatic stress disorder from leaving a high control group.
You know, Sharon,
Okay.
these witnesses have so much fear around that those are worldly people and that we have no business talking to them. And even though they're out, they still have that same, brainwashing and
Yeah.
fear around doing such a thing. So what would you say to those people?
Well, at some point, each person has to come to terms with, they have to ask themselves and they have to investigate, whether it's at the library or online, and figure out for themselves, is what I came from, is it the truth, or was I lied to?
Yeah.
And then once they establish that, that for themselves, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. But,
It's
once
okay.
they establish that that's what they came from, eventually you can let your wall down a little bit, and you start to realize that these people that you thought were worldly and terrible and a part of Satan's world really can be some of the nicest people you've ever met in your life, and they'll have your back no matter what.
Yes,
So you've got
amen.
to give it a chance. Give it a
Yes.
chance.
Yeah.
And
Feel the
guys,
fear and go anyway.
amen. Because, I'm a cult survivor. Dan is a cult survivor, 40 years Jehovah's Witness. I was in the Worldwide Church of God, which is Jehovah's Witness Jewish. And both of us came out with a lot of fear, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of fear around God being angry with us. We got a lot of help through studying the 12-step and going through those 12 steps, and that really helped us a lot, learning some basic survival techniques with regard to relationships, healthy relationships, which is
Yeah.
so important, because in the witnesses and in my church, the relationships were very dysfunctional, so we need to learn
Right.
how to live more functionally again.
Yes,
Yes.
and one thing I'd like to say about that, there a lot of people turn, when you are a witness, you learn obsessive behavior.
Yes.
And when you exit, not just the witnesses, but any high control group or cult, when you exit, a lot of times people exit with addictive personality disorder. And so in order to cope with their PTSD, many people self-medicate with drugs, alcohol. Some people turn to sex addiction. And, you either need to go seek counseling, or, like I said, the NAMI support group, or like online, a friend of mine, Dwayne MacArthur from British Columbia, he started, as far as I know, it's the first recovery from addiction support group for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's EXJW-Recovery from Addiction, and that's a support group on Facebook.
Okay.
Also,
Right.
if you're looking for a support group anywhere in the world, you can go to Miss Meetup, MISS, Miss Meetup on Facebook, and we list as many support groups in your area that we hear of, and it's an open group, so any newbies or faders that are new to leaving, they can find help.
How about
That's
scars?
wonderful.
And how about scars and 707
Yeah,
safe?
we have scars.org. That's SCAARS. Barbara Anderson started that. We have Roger Bentley and his wife Karen, who are running that organization. They're working at changing the laws. They lobby in California at the State House, trying to develop better laws to protect children from abuse, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, children in general, especially the sexual abuse.
What's the 70? Go ahead.
And we have 707 Safe. You can obtain that at romymaple.com, ROMYMAPLE, and that is a new nonprofit, and they offer support for survivors of any cults and especially if they've been through sex abuse, but they don't have to have been, have gone through sex abuse in order to get help from them. And we have a new nonprofit that's started in Canada, and Angela Ola runs that along with Tricia from the VAA. That's AORRA.org. It's a new one, so they don't have all the funding yet, but they're working on getting funding to help with education and a support network for abuse survivors.
Cool.
We also have the vastapostatearmy.com, and you can go on that website, and you can also you can find meetup support groups in your area as well, and all sorts of supportive information. Tricia runs that. We have Cult News 101 out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we also have ICSAHome.com. That stands for International Cultic Studies Institute. And they actually this year they're having a conference in England. This last year it was in Pennsylvania. I was able to attend that. They have conferences to educate people that have left. And we have FACT. FACT is FamiliesAgainstCultTeachings.org. Their primary focus is on helping abuse survivors to heal. And we have, I think I have one last one I wanted to mention. This is a new one. It's new to what we're doing, but they've been in existence for a while. It's called Don'tCountMeOutUSA.org.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, and that they actually help people that are exiting the justice system, and help them with jobs and with their fines and to get on their feet again. And
wonderful.
Actually, it's an ex-Jehovah's Witness that runs that, and she actually, I can't even say enough about Monique James. She's just absolutely amazing. But she is talking about adding a new program soon related to the abuses that we've already discussed. So she's looking at helping us as well.
So we got about 1 minute. What do you want to say to someone who's really, really feeling like their whole world's falling apart?
Yeah, and she's got a guest speaker in Sacramento.
I'll be speaking, and thank you. I'll be speaking in Sacramento, California at the Witnesses Now for Jesus convention. That's open to anybody. You don't have to be a Christian to attend that. And I'll basically be talking about the same stuff and about my the Glory Wrist Guard art project. It's an art program for children to help them to heal, where I send art supplies to them. And we're doing an awareness campaign in Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi, at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, February 15th and 16th.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, Sharon, Angela, we're going to have to wrap it up tonight. We've enjoyed our discussion with you, Sharon. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your great work and all the information you gave us. And just thank you, Sharon.
You're the best.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you guys. You're both very lovely.
And you can find her website at www.xjw/help.com. Angela?
And we'll be back next week, guys, with Heart to Heart Radio with Dan and Ann. You can find more about our show by going to X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. Our websites are Heart2TWO Heart Radio.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.